Hey there, everyone. Today, we're going to do something a little different. Now, this is kind of a video series that I wanted to start doing. Um, it's inspired by actually Gareth over at the Sprites and Bytes channel, and he recently put up a video talking about how people on YouTube, well, you have our gaming channels, and we don't really talk about ourselves, like who we are as people. And I thought, well, I can talk about who I am as a person, but, you know, it's not really related to the content of my channel, which is mostly about games. So, what I wanted to do was make a kind of series about me as a person, but mixed in with games. So, it's gonna, if you're not interested, you're not interested. I don't really care. But it's essentially parts of, you know, reasons why I game, why I am who I am in relation to a game. I don't know, for me, and I think for a lot of people who are really into games and have been for a long time, games have special meaning. And I'm not saying that like it's a special meaning like the way stamps are have a special meaning to a stamp collector. Um, it's not exactly that. It's the kind of thing where certain games can kind of attach you to a period. And I'm saying this in a way that like while I was playing this game and if I play it again, it kind of warps me back in my mind to a different time period. So, playing a certain game will kind of bring me back to a time period where I can kind of feel in my head that same kind of environment or situation or, you know, general feeling from that time, and it's connected directly to the game. So, a real easy way to bring that feeling back is to play the game again. And I have a lot of games, I think, that are connected to me this way. So, what I wanted to do was start talking about those games. There, it's going to be a lot of random games. I'm not lying. There's going to be a ton of stuff from all generations, and all types of random stuff. And a lot of them aren't going to be games that people like, and some are going to be games that people really like. And it's going to be not really about the games. If that makes sense. It's not going to be like a review. It's going to be about, personal stories related to the time period and the games. And I think by doing this, it connects the content of my channel and me personally as a person to together in a way that, it might be interesting. It might not be, I don't know. But it's the kind of thing that maybe you can get something out of. And this will be the first in this kind of series of videos that I'm going to do about these certain games. And I will talk, actually, some of the content will be vague. It won't make any sense to you, but it might. Or it might open, you know, be open to questions in the sense that, like, you won't really understand what's happening on, but you might be able to infer things. It's all, it's all different, but it's not exactly, I think, what Gareth had in mind for his video responses to his video, but this will be this. It's inspired by the topic of talking about myself, but I wanted to do it in relation to my games. So, anyway, that's kind of a long-winded introduction to this. It's already 4.5 minutes in, but anyway. The game I wanted to talk about today is this game right here. I don't know if you can see this. I'll actually move it closer. This is a book. This is actually the manual, and this is the game. This is the Game Boy Advance version. And this game, actually, if you want to see it, is Partena no Kagami, which, if you haven't recognized the character already, this is Kid Icarus. And Kid Icarus is kind of a special game for me. Now I got a Nintendo pretty early. What after they came out. When it came out, it was close to my birthday, and you know, at the time, it was you know the only way I could get a something like a game system was for a birthday or Christmas, and Christmas was nearly out of the question for that kind of thing. It's too big of an expense for my family, and I can explain that. My mother was raising four kids. I have I actually have four sisters, but one of them didn't live with us. So my mother had four kids to watch. My two older sisters, me, and my younger sister, and she was just basically a single mother taking care of four kids. So you can imagine you know uh, you can imagine that we weren't incredibly well off, especially when your mother isn't someone who's highly educated or um, has a very high paying job or something. So um, you're in a kind of position where you don't have a lot of stuff and you don't have a lot of money, and getting something like a game that was yours, something that was your personal property, happened once a year, maybe, if you were lucky. And in my case, I was pretty lucky because that Christmas I got Kid Icarus. And this is like the Christmas it came out. I mean, it probably came out in October, or I mean, I guess I could look it up, but it's not really that important. But I remember seeing it in gaming magazines, and being a poor kid, you kind of just go to the store and read the gaming magazine at the rack and hope that the staff at the store don't throw you out for reading the magazines. But that's generally what I did, and I saw Kid Icarus, and I like immediately fell in love with it. It was something that I really wanted, and I talked about it all the time to my parents, or my mother actually. But and I knew she was going to get it for me. She said she was going to get it for me, and I knew it was coming for Christmas. So we have kind of a Christmas tradition, I guess, at my house, where everyone gets to open one present on Christmas Eve, and everything else has to be opened the next day. I mean, I think a lot of people do that, but in my case, um, we didn't really get a lot of stuff for Christmas. I mean, it's not like we had any money. We did get stuff. I mean, it wasn't like, we didn't have anything. My grandmother would often send a lot of presents over, and my mother did her best, I think, to get us stuff that we would like. So, I knew Kid Icarus was going to be there. She was not, she wasn't a liar. She never lied to me. So if she said it was going to be there, it was going to be there. And, I don't, so I knew it was going to be there. And on that Christmas Eve, I searched through all the presents to find a box that was relatively Nintendo cartridge shaped. And of course I found it. And of course, on Christmas Eve, I opened that. And I played it for the entirety of Christmas Eve, in the sense that I stayed up all night playing Kid Icarus. And it's the kind of thing that, it brings me back to that kind of Christmas feeling when you're a kid. Playing Kid Icarus, it gives me a feeling of this kind of, I don't even know, if you've ever, I don't know how to explain the feeling, but if you've ever been in a warm house on a dark night after it snowed, or is snowing, it's the kind of the outside is quiet and white, but the sky is black, and there's nobody out. But you're inside the house, and it feels really comfortable, like you're in a pillow fort you've made, and you're kind of hanging out there by yourself. And that's the kind of feeling I get when I play Kid Icarus. It's the kind of feeling where it's like joining a comfy old pillow fort. That's the best I can explain it. And Kid Icarus is notoriously a difficult game, but I've beaten Kid Icarus. I don't even know how many times. I've played through the game multiple times, and I actually didn't know that it depended on how fast you got through the game, of the special items you got after you won. But I did play through the game like 3 times consecutively, so and each time was faster. So I actually did keep getting upgrades to my character. So eventually you can fly and instead of jump, which makes the game a lot easier. And you can get all these types of bonus items throughout the game. And it's not really that important, but it was kind of the first time that I really got into something and felt like it was really the kind of thing that I wanted to keep playing and keep playing. More so than any of the other games that I had at the time. And I did have a few games. I had like Super Mario Brothers and Pro Wrestling, and maybe that was about it. We were much more of a rental kind of place, which I think a lot of people were at the time. Blockbuster Video was like the place where everybody wanted to go when you were a kid. But that's this game right here. And I rebought this. This is actually the Famicom Disk System version of the game, but I actually have it on pretty much everything it was ever released on. I have it on the NES as well. I have it on the Game Boy Advance. I have it on the Virtual Console. I have it on the 3DS. I've got it everywhere. So whenever I have this kind of, want to have that same kind of childlike, safely home, happy on Christmas Eve, I think Kid Icarus is kind of the game that brings me there. And it kind of takes me to a point in my life before a lot of things kind of went pear-shaped, as it were. And that's kind of how it is. It's part of me in a way that it's kind of like a warm, pleasant memory. And I think that matters more so than other things. What I want to say with this really is that I think a lot of people don't understand why people play games. I mean, there are a lot of people who think of games as just a waste of time, something that, it's unimportant. Why do you play games? You could be doing other things. And lots of times I think games are important. Not because, I'm winning a game or experiencing something, but because they can kind of give you this memory anchor, as it were, this kind of stepping point where you can jump back in time and experience things again. And it's one of the main reasons that I still game and why I still play many retro games.